Welcome everybody to the 361 Commission Gaming PC Build Seminar. Again, sorry for missing the immediate keynote intro opening piece. I had some internet issues, but yeah, really excited about this opportunity to work with you all, work with KIPP, work with 361. The reason this was super important to me to work with Ryan and his team to organize is that I believe that we should really be giving you all more opportunities to get exposed to what it means to build, right? PCs, right? And then enabling you further for playing games or seeking careers in gaming or adjacent to gaming, like, tech careers, which we're going to hear some about on the panel today. And then also furthering your creativity, right? Use these same PCs to do content creation, right? To go into spaces where, people such as yourselves aren't typically served, right? And be able to put your own spin on things, leave your mark, and really just, increase, all the different abilities and access you have to do these things, to put forth these different creations, right, that you're going to, embark on now that you're going to have these PCs where you take them home and get to use them in your gaming or in your content creation, videos, whatever it is that you all choose to do to embark on with them. So it was super important. I'm glad you're all here today. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the panel. So we have a great first of two panels today, which are really, really awesome. This one is going to be featuring technology professionals from Intel working in roles in tech that are in or adjacent to gaming. And like I said before, I'm Corey Fraizer, and Ryan so succinctly put it, I have a role in our social impact organization as strategic programs manager, and I will be your moderator today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our panelists. I'm going to give you their bios so you get a chance to understand who they are, their journey a bit, and then we'll launch into some questions and we'll leave some time for Q&A. So any specific questions from you all that you may have for our panelists, please feel free to ask. Be thinking about them while we're going through some of the early questions going on. So let's get started. So our first panelist is Marnique Harris, who is a business operations manager in the Fab Materials Global Supply Chain Group here at Intel. So Marnie joined Intel in 2016 as a technical supply chain program manager within our new business initiatives team. Prior to Intel, though, Marnie was in various operations roles that touched things from Internet of Things, strategy, higher education, sales and marketing, manufacturing, and quality management. And then in that role as a supply chain manager, program manager, she helped business units or the various divisions within Intel, right, develop that supply chain strategy, map out how they build their products and how they get it to the customer, right? So now she's a business operations manager in our Fab Material organization, where she manages internal and external executive presentations for the vice president and leads people operations and communications for the organization. She also provides direction around technical leadership, manager growth and capabilities, succession planning. So who is next in the pipeline, right, to advance and grow in their careers, as well as change and transition management, right? So she also has and this is really cool, she has a bachelor of science, in aviation science and administration. So a fellow aerospace person like myself from Western Michigan University. She also has a Master of Arts in Education and a Master of Business Administration with a concentration in general management. And when Marnie isn't doing all of that work, she enjoys playing basketball, hiking, biking, running, reading, and traveling. Next, we have Trey Lee, who is a product manager within the gaming division of Intel. So Trey is native of Detroit, Michigan, so another Michigan native. And there he found a passion for community outreach and technology. He is a recipient of the Gates Millennium Scholarship, and he used that to attend Michigan State University. While on campus, Trey was involved in many organizations and even won an applied engineering science award for the work he did during his internship with British Petroleum, or BP. And then he graduated with a supply chain management degree and now works for Intel. His current role here at Intel has him working across the supply chain, and now he works in the gaming division as a product manager for a gaming anti-toxicity app. So be sure to ask him about that and what all of that entails when we get to the Q&A portion. And last but not least, we have Andrew Evangelista, who is the Global Communications Lead for Gaming Communications here at Intel. So Andrew leads our gaming communications for Intel's Global Communications Group. His responsibilities include strategizing, planning, and execution of external communications and initiatives related to Intel gaming, esports, and additional client computing activities that include consumer product launches. And prior to Intel, he spent several years driving communications programs for HP, HP Enterprise, and then Micro Focus, and as well as a few Silicon Valley based marketing communications firms. So Andrew is, last but not least, an avid PC enthusiast, builder, and gamer. He is currently going through completing Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which was a fantastic trilogy. And he's also balancing a few campaigns in Total Warhammer 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2, also an amazing game. So please welcome our panelists. And with that said, let's launch to our first question. Our first question is, and we'll start with Marnique on this one. How does your career field relate to gaming and gaming technology?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Just want to make sure I'm coming through okay.
Loud and clear.
Yep.
Okay, great. Awesome. Hey, nice to meet all of you. Thank you for having me today. Thank you, Corey. Nice to meet all of you students. Good question. How does my career relate to gaming and technology? So I'm not building it, but I'm making it possible for the games to get to the consumer. So typically what I would do is our client group, we often use acronyms here at Intel called CCG. So we partner with their operations and their business unit leads to build out how they want to build the game, where do they want to build it, where do they want to manufacture it, what are the parts and components. As I saw you guys building the pieces together, we have to actually figure out who's going to supply those pieces, who's going to manufacture those pieces, and then who's going to assemble all of those pieces together, who's going to design them. So it takes, we're in the back end, so it takes somebody else outlining the process to getting it to how all the pieces coming together, assembled, and then how are we getting them into the warehouse and then shipping them to get to the distributor and eventually get to you. And so those are the pieces. A lot of times we think it all just kind of comes together. Actually, somebody's got to plan all of those components. So let me just stop there and see if there's any questions.
That's really good because I think Ryan will tell you all, if you happen to ask him, the amount of planning and thought that went into how do we get all these different systems, these components together for all of you to be able to put them together today, right? Next is Andrew. Tell us a little bit about how your career is related to gaming and ties into that.
Sure. Like Marnique, can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm not an engineer. I actually work on more of the marketing communication side of things. I don't build things, but I certainly help our team, the Intel Client Computing Group team, communicate our products to the market. And in general, communications is just essential to gaming and what we do as a company. So actually, you know what? It's not just Intel or semiconductors. It's companies in all industries, from sports to travel companies to oil and gas. Name the company, they're going to need some way to clearly and succinctly communicate what their product is and how it helps drive a need and help solve the needs of the folks that they serve or the products that they serve. So for us, it's what are the key technologies that our processors have? Processors is certainly what we're known for, and kind of how are the latest technologies or processor features like powering your games, your gaming experiences. So I built my recent gaming computer just like y'all did, and how did we talk about a processor? How do we position our processors so folks understand the value and kind of speeds and feeds and what it does? You can build the greatest product in the world, but if you kind of talk about it incorrectly, if it's not positioned well, if people don't know about it, it's not going to get purchased. It's not going to get used. So that's kind of what I do from a communications perspective.
Yeah, exactly. I think you hit it on the head, Andrews. If we build the great things, but we don't communicate it, we don't work with the right publishers or other, outlets, various other, partners that we have for communicating what's going on in Intel, no one's going to know about it. And thus, we don't get into the right hands and people don't purchase it, right? So that's awesome. Trey, talk about a bit about your role and how you have applied your career thus far to gaming.
Okay. Hey guys. So how does my job relate to gaming? So in the gaming industry, I know you guys know we're in the atmosphere. It is a lot of toxicity. So it's a lot of bullying online. It's a lot of just name calling and stuff like that. So with me, I was in charge of figuring out a way, how do we combat this? How do we create a solution for you guys to feel safe on the internet and you don't have to feel like you're getting cussed out all the time? So I am a part of this app where we block out toxic words, toxic phrases, and I'm just in charge of kind of taking that process and making that app and bringing it to production. So, and it's for gamers, making it safe for you guys. So that's the big part of my job, and that's how it's related to gaming. And it has I have such a big passion about it. I just feel that there's no reason that people should, be bullied online. So that's kind of how my job relates to gaming.
Yeah, definitely a huge concern, right? When we talk about not only online interactions, but the mental health of gamers, right?
Yeah.
And content creators as well. And a lot of what they face, not only in online, chats, but also, harassment or toxic, exchanges in comments, right? Or on a particular, maybe a server of some kind. And how do we help that? Because, it definitely affects people's mental health who are in the gaming industry. Well, awesome. So let's focus a little bit more on you all specifically in terms of your journey and your trajectory, and discuss, how did you choose your career? And what would any of these young people need to do if they're interested in pursuing the career that you have chosen? Let's start with Andrew.
Sure thing. As I mentioned, I didn't major or go to school for an engineering degree. I actually majored in English. So in school, I had the opportunity to actually start a fraternity. So if you've seen movies like, I don't know, Old School or any of the fraternity like movies, that's probably too extreme. It's not what we really experienced, but the fraternity life, working with people, organized people, that's what I did. And when you start an organization and you build it from the ground up, people got to know about it. People got to want to understand what your organization is about, why they want to join you, why they want to be a part of your group. That's what I did starting the organization. And I really liked doing that, working with people. I liked reading and writing. I was interested in the arts. There's some things that I knew I didn't want to do. Several of my friends had pursued other career paths, like being a lawyer. You didn't want to do that. I talked to folks in the media, and communications, PR, public relations, that's just a part of the media. And I just figured, hey, let's try this, see if I like it. I interned, got a job, got hired, and it just clicked. It was like, this is something that I can really see myself doing for a living. So if you're interested in tech, what are some of the things or skill sets that you need to pursue this communications path? I'd say be interested in reading and writing, interested in talking, interested in working with people. And when I mean talking, it doesn't necessarily mean public speaking all the time. Just talking to people, one-on-one, one-on-twos, understanding, listening to people. That's a lot about what we do, what I do, certainly. Hope that helps. Yeah. If there's any questions, let me know.
No, that's great. That's great. And one thing I really like about hearing about what you're saying is you're talking about how there are skills that aren't what people maybe will identify as what I need to know to, put together a PC or talk about the latest speeds and feeds that are essential to communicating that, to getting it in the right hands, to understanding what our customers even need, right? And a lot of that comes from like your communications background. You're focused on organizing people, getting people together. It really speaks to your ability as a connector and as an organizer and as a leader in that fashion. And I think it's really important for people to hear that that's a way for you to be able to exercise that muscle and still be like in the gaming industry. So really awesome. Trey, how about your career and what can a young person do to pursue the same path or a similar path?
Okay, so starting off, as a kid, I always loved gaming. Me and my little brother, we would play the game from sun up to sundown. So when I got to college, I really started to think like, oh, should I be an engineer? What should I go into? And I really chose supply chain. I felt like I had so many opportunities to take it, and I ended up getting an internship with Intel. And when I got the internship with Intel, everybody kept telling me like, hey, you can do anything here. I know you got a supply chain degree, but you could do anything here. So after that, I got hired full time as a rotations person in supply chain, where I got to move around. And I seen somebody from the gaming team, and they gave a presentation, and I was like, I really, really want to go for this. I really want to do this. And we do 6-month rotations. So I asked them to put me in contact with their manager and ask if it was anything that I could do to help. So, and I got the opportunity to actually become a part of the gaming team, and then I got a project. So just so you guys know, just because you go into something, even though you have a passion for something, you can find it. You get a degree, you get into someplace, you can always go into something that you love. Don't ever give up on it, because I didn't know that I could go into gaming and do it, and it's been my passion. So just never forget that.
All right, great advice. Marnie.
Hey, I kind of echo a little bit of Trey. I have to be honest with you guys. Can I be a little transparent with you? I wasn't even the smartest kid in the room when I was growing up. I had a twin sister, and she was more of the popular one. I was kind of the quiet kid, if you will, and more of a loner. But like them, I loved Nintendo. I was playing games and kind of just a little bit of aloof as a kid, but fell in love with airplanes at the age of 8 and had decided I was going to be an airline pilot. And so I went to an aviation-based high school, and I flew my first plane at 15. It was an L-29 Czechoslovakian jet. You should look that up.
Wow.
And I got in, just loved the idea of flying. I went to college and was flying airplanes. And, I can remember my first flight, my instructor stalled the airplane to see if I was afraid. And I just looked at him, by the way. So what we were saying is don't be afraid to go after your dreams. I ran out of money in college, so don't be surprised if you have setbacks. It happens in life, and that's just the way it is. But you know what? You just get back up. And, I graduated with an aviation degree. September 11th had happened at that time, and which means there were no jobs in aviation at the time. Again, another setback that I had to overcome. And my parents were like, I'm sorry, your dream didn't work out. Go find a job. So I ended up being in higher education for 7 years, working with students. I ran the recruitment and student success program at the College of Aviation, recruiting students just like you all over the country to come and fly airplanes for a couple of years. I picked up my degree. And here's the thing, what am I telling you? My path wasn't linear. I just kept overcoming some of my challenges and took the skills that I had and just kept building on them. And over time, I figured out I was kind of good at strategy and a little bit of design. And I liked the way to understand how the companies work. So that's how I ended up in operations and how I got into marketing. And then after I got my bachelor's degree and my MBA, by the way, somebody told me I couldn't get promoted to the next level unless I got an MBA. And so I went and said, oh, you're not going to hold me back. I'm going to go get an MBA, and got an MBA. And here it was at Intel. I was at Intel within 6 months after I got my MBA. So all I'm saying to you is, I'm showing you I had a lot of setbacks and my career was not linear, but I just kept getting up and overcoming the challenges and just kept working hard. So that's what I want to encourage you.
Awesome, man. That's an amazing career path. I'm not sure how to follow that. How to transition out of that. No, how about we make this our last question before we open this up for Q&A. From the three of you, tell us about, what's a typical day for you, and what are the good aspects of your job, and what are the not so great aspects? Trey, let's start with you first.
Sorry, Corey. It kind of went in. Can you say the question again?
No worries. Tell us about a typical day for you. What are some of the good aspects? What are some of the not so great ones?
Okay, so a typical day for me is, so we're working from home now in a virtual atmosphere. So when I wake up, most of the time in the mornings, I have meetings with, let's say, partners that we have on the app. So a day for me is really just going through and checking to make sure that people who are working on the app have done the things that they needed to do, coming up with plans to market the app and just how to make it better. So that's just like a typical day for me, and just managing a lot of people. And it's kind of cool for me because I'm kind of young, like I'm 24. So to be in a space where I could just, I don't know, I'm managing people and they're so much older than me, and like to get stuff done and they don't look at me in a different way, they look at me as an equal, is pretty cool. So that's something I really love about my job. The bad things, I would say the bad things is when stuff pops up or deadlines are missed about certain things. So let's just say I have tasked somebody to do some work for me and they don't complete it. And now I have to report back and say, hey, we have to push whatever this is back. I know I said it would be done, but that's another part of it when you're managing things. You're not directly doing it and you're responsible for someone else's work. So I think that is like a downside of it.
Definitely a challenge, getting things done through other people. You'll find that that's like the biggest challenge you're probably going to have in your career in life, really, more than anything. Marnie, how about you?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Corey. So mine is a little sporadic because I work for a VP, so I'm very much on the go for those of us. So yeah, I'm working on some of his communication things. So if he's got to speak somewhere and it's last minute, I'm putting together some of his speaking notes. I'm trying to understand what is he speaking about, what's the messaging that he has to deliver, and, kind of the call to action. But at the same time, I'm also interacting with some of my teammates. So working with some of the staff to get some of the things that they need, as well as managing some of our recruitment and retention and career onboarding. So I think I echo what Trey does, is that what you find out very early, I can't stress this enough, is learning how to work with people. If you can work with people as a team and always be a team player, you're going to be able to accelerate. But being able to kind of think ahead, there's a term you'll hear very often, is kind of being able to kind of look through the trees and over the trees. So look through the things that you kind of got to get done, and then look over like what's coming. So the other half of the question was, what are the challenges that I have? Well, that's the looking through the trees and over the trees. So that is, okay, I've got how do I balance? How much time do I have with all the things that I need to get done? And how do I prioritize that and figure out, okay, I need to do this today, or this is coming later. And the other thing is, listen, working with people can be a challenge sometimes. And so what you always want to focus on is, why are we here? And what are we attempting to get done? And when we can kind of focus on the result of what we're doing, it kind of gets away from all of the other things. So that's kind of where I have to constantly readjust my focus quite a bit.
Yeah. I like what you said at the end there, which was, why are we here? Why are we trying to get this done, right? I think it was Shaq. It was during his Shaquille O'Neal, during his masterclass discussion. He said, someone told him, if you focus on the relationship grows. If you focus on the task grows. So to your point, focusing on why we're here is going to help that be the focus for everybody versus focusing so much on the what did or didn't go right, can exacerbate that problem, right? Yeah. Andrew, typical day for you. Good aspects, not so great ones.
Sure. So typical day, like a lot of us, involves meetings here and there. For me, so what I also do is I interact for the company, on behalf of the company, with press. So whether it's the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, it could be the Game Pros of the world, or PC World, PC Mag, Tom's Hardware, all those gaming publications. Our team works directly with those media outlets to ensure that they have the information that they need from us to do their job as well. So a lot of what I do is a lot of reading of what they're talking about, what people are saying, what are the latest and greatest news articles that I need to know about, that my team needs to know about, and more importantly, that the people around me in the BUs, in my other just colleagues, what do they need to know about to be successful in what they do? It's a really important cog in the wheel to make sure that the gears are running. And information really is power. So that's part of what I do. And then kind of what a typical day also includes is if there's a major product launch that's coming, our new processors coming down the pike that we've got to do some product launch communications on. How do I assign the resources, ensure that we're meeting that need for that day, that week, that month, to make sure everything launches as smooth as possible. Launches and events. If we're going to Game Developers Conference, if we're going to go to the Twitch cons of the world, how do I ensure that I have the proper, or we have the proper resources, that our presence at TwitchCon is going to go off as successfully as possible? Those big goals and objectives takes a lot of people, and that involves working with a lot of people of various backgrounds, influences, working with a lot of people with a lot of different backgrounds. The fraternity that I started is a multicultural background, and the greatest skill that I ever had, that I ever learned in school, wasn't necessarily from the classroom. It was just working with people with diverse backgrounds, hearing them, listening to them, understanding their background, understanding how I could work with them so we can collectively achieve a bigger goal than what we could just do by ourselves. That's what we do here. TwitchCons, product launches, that takes a lot of people, engineers, marketing, communications, everybody, to achieve that goal and objective. That's what we do.
Yeah. So for everybody who's listening, despite this being about building, PCs and gaming, you're hearing a lot about people, and more people. So, take that lesson to heart. So I think we've hit the Q&A portion, Ryan. I'm not sure how you'd like to handle this, if you have like a mic or pass around, or if what you can do is help us by repeating the question whenever someone asks it.
I can't remember which one exactly was talking about the toxic behaviors that is experienced in video gaming. What was that?
That was Trey, I believe.
Trey?
Yep.
So how do you deal with potential toxic gamers that are evolving their toxic language, and sometimes they'll develop even newer terms that are toxic that you didn't know before? Maybe.
Yeah, so what we do for that is that we have models and we adapt them, but it is the evolution, and every day people are coming up with new things, but we actually have models that we work on consistently where we have them new slang, new every terms, and we input them in the system. And it's really a monthly thing. That's what we try to do, and we're trying to find better ways to even make it even faster, like maybe in a week or so. And we're also still in beta testing, so that's why. So that kind of helps us even more to, like, when we go public, how we can create a way to make it even faster. And we also want to make like a feedback task where people can input new terms or things that they feel are harmful, and we'll do research on them and actually input them within our system. So.
My name is Isa Hydera, and I'm at KIPP Middle School. I have a question for Ms. Harris. What courses do you recommend to pursue engineering and technical engineering?
Yeah, it said something about engineering courses. I was going to ask, can you repeat it?
Sure. Isa asked, what courses would you recommend she takes to get into engineering, and technical engineering?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, actually, when I started aviation, it was in the engineering college. So most of my curriculum was engineering, to be honest with you. A lot of engineers are focused on math. By the way, don't let math intimidate you. Yeah, I see y'all laughing because y'all know what I'm talking about. When you get past that algebra and you're like, yeah, I'm done, right? And so I feel it in the room. So don't let math intimidate. You guys have way more resources to pass math than I ever had when I was coming up. So, you know, you've got online resources, you've got groups, you've got handouts. So don't let the math intimidate you. There's going to be like math and science. A lot of engineers don't realize that there is technical writing. So there is some English that you will take just so you can understand if you've ever got to write a process. So how do I process? How do I use the technology that I'm going to hand you? So, and then there's some, you know, critical social studies that you will take just to kind of get a holistic view of the world. But there will be engineering, there will be math, science, and some technical writing along the way. But again, like I said, don't let it bother you. When I got to calculus in college, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And so what I did was we got together with a group of us and we figured it out. When I got statistics, it was a group of us and we figured it out. And that's the way you do it. Use your collective knowledge to pass your classes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And keep working at it. Don't be intimidated.
Just real quick, I want to yes and that math to Marnie's point. Once I got past algebra, I was like, calculus, who needs this, right? Which, by the way, you totally need it. You're going to plug it into a computer to solve all your deep computational problems. What I wasn't anticipating is that as you keep going up in the advanced degrees, they keep throwing another math class in there. And it was like, okay, now I'm just playing with numbers and letters to get an equation, not to get an actual answer, to get an equation to plug and chug things in, you know, for like simulation or something. I'm like, why am I doing this? No, you totally need to do it. But yeah, it definitely is like a limiter in case like you're like, man, I just don't want to do this. Don't let it be a barrier for you. There's so many different ways to apply your engineering interest and passion and know-how. And at the end of the day, not gonna lie, math teachers put your fingers in your ears. You're just gonna plug it into a computer anyway.
If I could jump on with Corey, I don't know if you guys, I know y'all know what Netflix is. Do you know there's a Netflix show where you got engineers working with people who are cooking, who are sitting there developing how to make an engineering like boat with cake? It's an engineer. So you'd be surprised how your engineering degree, by the way, I can't remember the name of the show, you can look it up. You'd be surprised how an engineering degree can take you anywhere.
Hi, I'm Shayla. I represent KIPP New York. I'm the Director of Science and brought all the students and parents here today. My question is, we have a lot of aspiring coders and people who want to learn how to code, or kids want to learn how to code. What coding languages should they start with as eighth graders to learn?
Sheila asked, there's a lot of students in the panel or in the crowd right now who are interested in coding. What languages would you recommend they begin with as they begin their coding journey?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and lead off with a few thoughts that I have on that. So if you are, whether you are pursuing engineering, you know, straight up computer science, and maybe even, you know, something, you know, adjacent to it technology wise, that isn't directly, you know, coding, coding is essential. I think everyone should learn some degree of coding, not because you're going to be doing it necessarily as your career, but because it gives you that interest. So if you're not in engineering per se, you know, or comp sci, learning HTML, right? Because you may be working on your website or building a website and understand the code that's, you know, on the back end of that, so you can, you know, modify said website to do whatever it is you're trying to do. When you get into the engineering space, and I'll finish it up in the more comp sci space, but you get to the engineering space and the comp sci space. In engineering, a lot of people think it's just about the math and the science. But the thing is automation and your ability to predict where trends are going to be when it comes to doing design work or engineering work, modeling and simulation. A lot of that is coding. And so when the value of coding is that you will be able to see the areas in which you need to play in, because you can model, you can simulate, you can run some kind of algorithm, right? That'll help you get there. So engineers who can do engineering, but also code, are incredibly valuable. It's also good for, you know, career paths and things you want to do. Now, for specific languages that you should be looking at, definitely Python and R. And the reason for those two is because of data analysis. And data analysis, you know, we have data analysts, right, as a functional job. But it's predicted that data analysis will just become more of an underpinning skill set in the engineering or in the science and technology space. So that what that means is, whereas in the past you may have a direct mathematician who does a certain degree of, you know, analysis computations, notice math just became an underpinning thing for various engineers to continue to develop and learn, right? So data analysis is going to do the same thing. It's going to become just a function, a skill set that is going to be employed by people who work in these fields. So Python and R will help you do data analysis, crunch large data sets, because I'm not sure if you know this, but we're generating so much data. I actually had the numbers in my head, and I'm not going to say them because I'm going to butcher them and I'm going to give you the wrong numbers, but we're generating so much data. And the more we get more and more smart devices and things that analyze you and give out telemetry or bits of data, the more data that needs to be crunched. So that's why it's important to learn languages like Python and R, because they are geared towards that. A good basic language, of course, is C. It's always great to learn C, because C is like the foundation for kind of a lot of this stuff, right? If you know C, you'll pick up Python, R, anything else you touch pretty easily. I'll stop there in case anyone has anything else they want to add.
What was the name of the, you said ARC?
R, just letter R.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Yesenia. I'm here with my brother who attends KIPP. And he's actually in the robotics team also with KIPP. And I was in robotics when I was in high school. I'm a clinical social worker now. So one of the things that really caught my attention when I joined here the seminar, one of the things that was said was that it was being hosted to really represent or provide opportunities to disenfranchised communities or children of color, right? So how do you, or where do you recommend that these children who want to pursue this field or these fields, seek internships? I know when I was in college, it was very difficult. And one of the things that I mentioned, we're first generation. And so it's very important for me to, you know, provide any opportunities to my siblings, to my brother who doesn't have any idea of what exists out in the world in terms of engineering. This is something new to him, because when he was growing up, he was like, I want to be a street vendor. That was the only thing that he saw, right? Growing up in Harlem, growing up in Manhattan, you only see street vendors or construction workers. And so the question really is, where do you seek internships as a student of color interested in the sciences and engineering?
And why don't I take that one, Corey, and then maybe Abbas can add on. You know, when I used to, I advised when I was running student services as in colleges, I would spend a lot of time advising students. One of my main areas when I was in Michigan was I spent a lot of time in Detroit. So I was in some of the rougher areas of Detroit and helping kids trying to get involved in internships. And one of the key things is that students, they have a lot of times they have career services offices that students can come into and interact, but a lot of the internships that come for students has a lot to do with sometimes a professor, like, and I had a lot of good relationships with the professors in college, and the professors, a lot of them are very involved in the industry and would create opportunities for students to be able to interact with that company. I know students that we created opportunities to do apprenticeships so that they could get real hands-on experience right there with the professionals to understand what it's like in a day-to-day thing. I think in this world with the competition for talent, you're going to see more programs like that, more apprenticeship programs, so that students can get the feel for some of that opportunity. The other thing is there's a lot of summer camps that expose students to different industries. So I used to run a lot of our summer camps, and I would bring in professionals to gain insight into different industries. Some of those industries actually not only come with an internship, but they come with resources as well. Like some of them come with housing stipends. So there's a couple of variety of ways that you could get connected to that in some of the colleges.
So my name is Carmen. I'm from the Bronx. My daughter goes to KIPP Infinity Middle School, and she's really into anime and drawing and stuff. What kind of programs or things of that nature can I use now with this, what she's into now with this computer building and all that stuff? I'm not into that. So for me, I'm like, okay, whatever. But what can I get out of this for her to continue her love of anime and drawing and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it's a guy with anime stuff right behind him. In a drawing table right behind him as well. I'll take first crack at that. So I'm glad you asked, because I think things like anime, drawing, illustration, content creation, right, are really great gateways to stoke someone's passions, and then bring in technology to aid in that, right? So some really cool things I think you could do as a result of building like these PCs that you're all building today, right? Is get it doesn't be inexpensive, but get like things like I'm gonna butcher this, like the online like Corel Draw or Google SketchUp. I didn't want to skip to like Illustrator and some other more pricey applications, but find one of those digital creation applications, really super inexpensive thing like a Wacom tablet or some kind of surface that you digital work on. Okay, awesome. Yeah, or like an iPad or something like that, right? And use those applications. And then what you can do is all that love you have for anime, drawing, artwork, etc., create content with it, right? Of course, upload it to your social media. Maybe delve into learning how to do time-lapse artwork, right? Where you can show people progress that you're making on the artwork and upload that as a YouTube video. So now you're getting used to video creation, content creation, and a lot of stuff can be done for near free, right? Just find the right applications. Content creation, you're stoking your art passion, you're leveraging technology to do it, so you're making that STEAM part of it all happen. And yeah, I could go deeper and deeper and deeper on it, but I'll stop there in case you have any more specific questions around it.
Hey Corey, can I add, I grew up with a cousin who loved anime and know quite a few people who love animation, and he ended up taking that into film. And so we were in college together, and he got into film and ended up going to go work for BET, and is doing film directing today. And so that was his pathway in to anime. So that I'm just wanting to tell you, that's one way. I know people who love animation who are doing photography, so they're using that as a career to get in that. They use drones to take pictures, and then they develop that photography. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with animation. So just something, I just want to give you a couple ideas.
And jumping in here too, at a cousin, she was really interested in drawing art, pen to paper, sketching. It's not my thing, it's her thing. I'm more of a writer. But she took that, and she was always interested in computers. Then she started drawing on the computer, on tablets, then on the computer. She went to, it was an art school where they specialized in digital animation. And now in about a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to see her on Netflix because she's an illustrator with Walt Disney. And they're going to be doing some profiles on those digital animators that bring to life some of the latest and greatest animations that we see on TV. So it's kind of a trajectory. It starts small, but then when you start, it's like gaming. You start at level 1, you build up a new skill set, then you're level 2, and by no time you're level 10 and 20 conquering new challenges.
Yeah, and just to add a couple of things, like my whole interest even in aerospace engineering and getting my degree came from an anime actually, and that and working with this and being around the space shuttle. You can't see it behind me; it's all the way at the top out of the view. But there was a cartoon called Robotech when I was a kid, and it was just an insanely awesome cartoon, and it really just made me want to go build a transformable jet, right? So I mean, there's so many different ways, and I can answer more, offline if you like, or that kind of thing. Just give you some more ideas. I'm a firm believer that comics, games, anime, all that good stuff are really great gateways. One other thing I do want to add before we hop to our next question is going back to the question around internships. There are also professional organizations, engineering organizations that you could join chapters of when you are in college. Actually, you can even join at the high school level. Organizations, for example, like NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, and then you have a collegiate chapter, and then you have NSBE, what they call junior, which is more for a K through 12 level. And those opportunities to not only do projects and programs, but you'll get exposed to internship opportunities when you go to like regional or national conferences. You can actually be applying for internships there with companies like Intel. So, want to add that.
Question?
Yes. This question's more specifically to Andrew. You say you have connections with the press like Wall Street, and you help set up these events, TwitchCon, all these conventions with that gaming is involved. But I want to know, since gaming for the past couple of years have been building up like really good resumes to report, like they're upgrading the technology. Consoles are always upgrading every so often. Do you partner with game developers so they have the latest technology every year to like up the graphics to like how they are right now?
That's a great question. So I didn't know one of the key, when I joined Intel, I think in 2018, and I worked at other companies. And what I knew of Intel was make really great processors. I loved using their processors in my gaming PC. What I didn't realize is that there was an army of software engineers at Intel. 10,000, it's in the tens of thousands of software engineers here at Intel, where we are either working with game developers, application developers like Adobe, like Ubisoft, like Blizzard. We're helping those titles run really well on our Intel processors and servers and all of our technology. So yes, we are absolutely working with directly with and partnering with all of the application developers around the world, so they run well. That answers your question of kind of the optimization question, correct?
So if you wanted to.
Gotta speak up. You got it.
If you wanted to go into another career path, would you be able to do something else with the degree? Can you do like multiple things with that one degree?
So the question was, and I think everybody can answer this. Amaya wants to know, in terms of your degrees, do you have flexibility? Like, where would your career, could you do anything you want right now? If you left Intel or switch positions, what's the versatility based on the degrees that you guys have? Corey, you want to start? Or Trey, you sound ready.
Yeah, so I can attest to that. So like I said before, I have a supply chain degree. I have no experience in working gaming, and I'm doing it right now. I have worked it as far as like Intel. I've had 4 jobs doing vastly different things. I worked in like planning for products. I also worked with setting up products, and I worked in gaming. So it's a variety of things you can do once you get your degree. Once you have your degree, as long as you build some type of experience in something that you want to do, you can do it. I have a friend who was in our rotations program, and he had a supply chain degree as well, and he did a data assignment. What a data assignment is just like in our company, you can ask anybody to work on their team, and you'll you're still getting paid from your manager, but you're taking time away from your job to work on doing something else. And he worked in sales, and now he works in sales. Like whatever you want to do, as long as you have a degree, if you get some type of a little bit of experience in it, you can do it. So just make sure you get some type of degree, and I guarantee you'll be able to move around.
Thanks, Trey.
Marnique?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, once you start building up skills, you'll find that they're transferable into a lot of different industries. I mean, how do you choose? I mean, we're in a world with a ton of companies, and right now we're in a state where I don't know if we're going to see like this again, where all these job opportunities where you can almost pick where you want to be today. And so I would tell you, pay attention to the places of the things that you enjoy. I think about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett always invested in companies that he actually enjoyed, like Coca-Cola. He always drank Coke all the time. So I would tell you, try and look for any of the companies that you're most interested. I mean, I'm intrigued with some of the gaming companies, Starbucks, Boeing. I'm still intrigued with some of these companies. So could I take my career anywhere? I could. But the other thing I would tell you is taking time to be reflective about what your inner strengths are. And by the way, it's going to change over time. Some things that you're good at today, you're going to be like, oh, I'm even better at this. So taking inventory of what you're good at and where you want to be is how you're going to accelerate. You can run 1,000 miles, but if you're going in the wrong direction, it doesn't help. So taking time to have that inventory of what you're really good at, and then going to go partner with the person that has the opportunity. I'm going to tell you, you can walk into anywhere and sell yourself when you know who you are and you know what you're good at and you know what you can deliver, is what I would recommend. So figuring out those little things in the back will help you go run a whole lot faster.
And just jumping in there really quickly, where I was 10 years ago and the person I was 10 years ago is completely different than who I am now. And I have no doubt that where I will be in the next 5 to 10 years will be, well, hopefully I'll be with Intel, knock on wood. I love it here. But the person that I will be is going to be different because of the experiences that I've had along the way to quote unquote, level myself up. So personally, I've always been a gamer. I loved playing a lot of video games. Frankly, if there's one advice I can give myself in 8th grade or younger, everything in moderation, including gaming. But my passion for gaming just really helped seal the deal when I was offered the job to help lead Intel Gaming Communications. Where I was 10 years ago, I was working more with smaller startups that were more business to business oriented. Never in a million years would I see myself helping to lead communications for a company like Intel. What did I want to do? I always knew I wanted to get into the gaming industry in some way, shape, or form. I knew that I wasn't necessarily good in kind of building the processors. That's not what I liked, but I liked doing more of the communications, more of the humanities, liberal arts side of things. What are the experiences that I needed to get for myself? More importantly, what could I do to proactively pursue those opportunities and help break down some barriers for myself so I can help some others come through? But more importantly, it was just understanding the opportunities that I had, realizing that I'd have to create some of those opportunities for myself because nobody was going to do it for me, and go pursue it with a passion that I just had to have in order to get to where I wanted to be. Working with people is absolutely critical. Being able to understand the world around me and the environment around me, what some of the perceived limitations were, and break them down to the best of my ability, and then go for it. Take some risks and go for it.
Yeah, I'm just going to yes and everything everyone has said thus far, and then I'll turn it back over to Ryan. But yeah, lots of versatility. I think everyone's touched on it. As long as you build the skills, you can kind of do whatever you want, kind of regardless of your degree. Having a degree in a specific area helps, in terms of where it is you're trying to go, if that's where you're trying to go. But as to what everyone has said, this is going to change over time. You will not be the same person over time. There's many people who are engineering who went into marketing. or went into sales, or even just went into finances. Like a lot of people, discover I like money more than I like actually engineering, which, to be honest, why not? But I know for myself, like I started my career in the space program. That's what a lot of stuff is behind me, you see, the space shuttle. Since I've been at Intel, I think I've had like 4 or 5 different like jobs, not actually different roles, but jobs. Like I started out in quality engineering as a program manager of our quality systems. I became an integrator, design integration lead on the world's fastest supercomputer, right? And then I've been in Intel Capital a few times and done a couple of stints in startup management and portfolio management, right? And startup coaching. And then I've been in competitive analysis, and now I do tech for good, basically, right? So that's like 4 or 5, maybe 6 different careers in the span of 11 years. So there's lots of versatility. Engineering school in general gives you the tools, right, to go do the things you want to do. It's not necessarily saying this is what you have to go do in life. Ryan, turn it back over to you, sir. Thank you for the time.
All I can say is amen, but no, thank you. Let's give everybody Team Intel, forever grateful. I mean, that was a great panel. Thank you for sharing your stories and just your insight and guidance. And Corey, thank you for being our partner on this program. It's great. You guys are free to kind of spy in for the rest of the day. We'll have the Zoom line open. But again, Andrew, Marnie, Trey, great to meet you.